The planet is dying. The once powerful Tree of Life is being threatened, and if it falls, so will everything else. That storyline may not be unique, but Biomutant takes this premise way out into left field in directions you didn't see coming. But not all gamers are going to give this lengthy title a fair chance to see where this adventure takes you. Biomutant is unlike any other post-apocalyptic RPG you've ever played. There are no humans. Sure, you'll stumble upon tales of the old world, and there's evidence they existed. Old houses, vehicles, power lines, and computers lay strewn about, but it's never spelled out. Pollution has run rampant to the point where toxins have created mutations within wildlife, and you're a result of that. You're a fox, or a badger, a raccoon, or... well, they never really say what you are. You start out building your character, customize its look, and choose a class. Some focus on gun skills and others on psionic or mutant abilities, and then your adventure begins. For a post-apocalyptic world, Biomutant is surprisingly colorful and in some areas downright beautiful, almost a mix of Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn. You'll scour the land in search of mythical beasts that threaten the roots of the Tree of Life. Along the way, you'll find a ton of loot. Pieces of old baseball bats, knives, axe handles, and bolts, even piles of e-waste and old tires that can be cobbled together to create weapons, each color-coded based on rarity. But here's where Biomutant gets interesting. Not only can you craft melee weapons, you can create guns. And you also know Wang Fu, a style of martial arts. Plus you have psionic abilities, like the power to light your enemies on fire or spew toxic vomit on them. There's a whole mishmash of options no matter your fighting style. We'll get back to fighting in a bit. The world is split into different biomes, from the lush forest to areas filled with radiation and extreme heat. The map is covered by thick black fog, which will lift as you explore. Some biomes also require special vehicles and gear to access them. Often that gear is hidden behind puzzles. There are a lot of small puzzles, but most are pretty simple to solve. On top of all this, there are opposing animal tribes, which will also stand in your way. You can decide to take them out forcefully, or try to negotiate peacefully for them to join your crusade to save the Tree of Life. And that's where the morale system comes into play.
That's a spark of light in you!
The nicer you are, the higher your light meter goes. This will dictate what weapons and powers you can use on your adventure, and even impact how some characters react to you as you build your ranks through side quests. There are a lot of side quests, but none of them really seem tedious, and they're important to raise your stats as some of the big boss battles, well, they can be challenging. Biomutant is trying to be a lot of different things. It's an RPG, it's an adventure, it's a puzzle game, it's a martial arts game, well, you get the point. There's a lot of stuff being thrown at you and a lot of stuff going on. In fact, 20 hours into the game, I was still being introduced to new game mechanics. And for the most part, it works. For the most part. The game is a bit rough around the edges, battle being the biggest issue. While it's fun to use blades, bats, guns, psionic abilities, and Wang Fu, it's messy. You can't lock on to enemies while fighting, and the camera can be a real problem. But trying to remember the buttons to press for special combos, it's like trying to remember fatality codes in Mortal Kombat.
Finish him!
Okay, maybe not that bad, but I found myself using the same moves over and over again because, well, they just worked. Biomutant can also feel a bit repetitive, claiming outpost after outpost. Even the towns you encounter reuse the same basic building layouts. But the biggest downfall is the game can be a bit of a slow burn. By the time the more interesting characters, vehicles, and storylines show up, some will have no doubt given up on the clunkiness of it all. And it's a long game. If you choose to do all the side quests, you could easily spend 40-50 hours or more exploring the gorgeous biomes. I love the premise of this game, and I actually really enjoyed it, but I also put in the time I think it deserves to really get the most out of it. There's a lot going on here, and I think that's part of the problem. Not one element is 100% fully polished like a AAA title should be. That being said, Biomutant is unlike any other game you've ever played before, I guarantee that, and I think Experiment 101 deserves kudos for that. They tried something new, they tried something unique, and I think you should give it a shot. You might be pleasantly surprised. That being said, I know there's going to be mixed feelings on this and mixed opinions. There's going to be people that love it, people that hate it, and I want to hear from you. I would love to hear your comments, so make sure you post them below. Here's the breakdown.